Hi everyone, my name is Casey Darling, and today I'll be teaching you Chapter 4 of Intangibles, that's over kindness. So jumping in, we have a brief overview of the chapter, starting with the foundation of this chapter, kindness, which is defined as the quality of being friendly, generous, and considerate. However, society views this perspective a little bit differently. They see individuals who are kind as being helpless or weak, not being able to do anything for themselves, or that they have ill intentions and are only being nice that they can undermine others and exploit them later behind their backs. They are seen as non-confrontational and non-competitive, which can lead to people believing that these kind of people are unable to achieve success and progress themselves, and therefore not good leaders. This chapter, however, challenges this misconception that kind leaders are soft or ineffective, and pushes that true kindness requires kindness and leadership requires strength, confidence, and the ability to hold people accountable while maintaining compassion. Chapter 4 goes into many different individuals and organizations and how they utilize kindness in their leadership. And one of those stories is about Michelle's family clothing store. So this company was founded in 1958 by Norma Mitchell. She founded this family business and would bring a pot of coffee every single day to her store to serve customers that came in and just overall make a homely store for environment for her customers. And she really fostered this culture of niceness and believes it's the key to her success and the corporation's success, and has been the cause of their growth to the now $60 million company chain. And they really push a pleaser mentality for employees. So that means just wanting to do things nice, just to be nice. Another example was SAS Institute. This is a business analytics software company that's based in North Carolina. They really focus on employee happiness, and their facility has extensive amenities. They have free on-site healthcare clinics that have multiple different various physicians. They have physical therapists, a psychologist, and nutritionists. But they also have things such as like heated pools, weight rooms, gymnasiums, multiple courts for activities such as like tennis courts and basketball courts. They also have a hairstylist and a massage therapist, among other things. So they believe treating people kindly, keeping them challenged with interesting work, respecting them and appreciating their contributions, that they'll, in return, they will reward you with high performance. And this has been shown to increase not only their revenue and profits, but they saw record growth in 2009 during the recession, because they emphasized that no one would lose their jobs. And since this cut the chatter and worry in their employees, they were able to produce breakthrough products and make record profits in 2009. And something interesting I found was that their average employee tenure is about 10 years, and turnover is about 2%, whereas the industry average is about 20%. So employees really want to stay there because they are happy there. And another one was the Dignity Health rebrand. It was originally known as Catholic Healthcare West, and they rebranded to Dignity Health. And they rebranded to bring compassion and kindness back into healthcare relationships. They had the motto with the rebrand, "Hello, Human Kindness." And they really focused on making kindness and humanity a part of everything they do. And it was designed to create a patient experience that's aligned with their brand promise. And the last example I have is the tongue depressors that Liz Jaswick utilized in her leadership position. She just saw a overflowing amount of nasty comments or negative attitudes in her work environment, and she wanted to eliminate and limit those. So what she did, she urged everyone, including herself. She had this little tongue depressor that she would use, and she passed it out to all her team members. And she included herself, but she urged everyone to stick the depressor in their mouths whenever they felt a negative comment coming on. or whenever anyone else said a negative comment, they encouraged them to do the same. And she found success in creating a more kind and positive work environment and culture for her employees through helping to reduce these negative comments. So some of the strengths I noticed in this chapter, it uses real life situations and business examples. As instance, we talked about Michelle's family clothing supply, SAS Institute, and Dignity Health. It also uses evidence-based support. So it talks about the Karolinska Institute study, which had a goal of studying the relationship between leadership styles and the ischemic heart disease among their employees. They then used leaders' positive behaviors that were rated by their subordinates. And after collecting employee hospital admissions, they had results that showed that higher leadership scores were associated with lower incidence of heart disease. Next is the British Civil Service Stress Study. So this included a study of 10,000 men and women in the British civil service that were analyzed for the impact of chronic work stress on health. And the results were that employees who were under unkind and harsh managers had experienced higher levels of stress, which significantly increased their risk of heart disease and type 2 diabetes. And lastly, another study that they used was the American Management Association survey. This survey was of employees that were assessed of the impact of boss kindness on job retention and performance. And their findings suggested that kind leadership fosters employee loyalty, productivity, and commitment. So the chapter had a strong emphasis on balanced leadership. So while being kind and managing and balancing, being strong and accountable is also beneficial. You can't just be super overly nice or just super overly authoritative. And some weaknesses in the chapter. It was pretty heavy with anecdotal evidence. So like I said before, with all the organizations and businesses, it was pretty heavy on that kind of information. It didn't have much statistical data or analysis on any kind of more quantitative data. It didn't really explore any scenarios or times when kindness in a leadership position backfires. It kind of oversimplified the image of kindness. It didn't really go into too much depth over the practical strategies that leaders might have used to implement their views in kindness and how they led with kindness. It also lacked leadership challenges. So kindness conflictions with other necessary leadership characteristics such as accountability. And mostly the key points and takeaways from this chapter for me is that kindness is an important trait for effective and supportive leaders. Compassionate leaders build trust and loyalty. And the effects of kind and caring work environments and cultures include decreased absenteeism, burnout, increased teamwork, and overall satisfaction. And that leadership is a balanced style and should require a balanced style. This means, once again, not being overly kind and being somewhat of a pushover, but also not being overly authoritative and being an iron fist. And that also kindness fosters a positive work environment and culture for the organization. And lastly, we had some discussion questions. So the first one is, what challenges might individuals in leadership positions face when trying to create a culture of kindness? The second is, do you think kindness is more of a teachable leadership skill, or is it a trait that you're born with and learn to utilize? And lastly, how does kindness impact employee and team loyalty and trust within an organization? And that is it. Thank you so much.